boys only. 2 games of Bud. The thing that impressed me about UP in yesterday's game is against LGD, with PYL back in the lineup, it's definitely a much stronger LGD. They were playing crazy stuff, and in game 1, they totally threw UP a curveball with their Bard ultimate around Baron, winning them the game. Even though they had a positioning-based comp where Jiang was playing mid-lane Ziggs and they had a lot of control ultimates, the Tempered Fate just threw off a lot of their space control ultimate comp, and Vayne resets coming through, and Vayne just being that menace from him won them a team fight. But UP adjusted against the same comp. They showed great adjustments, specifically getting a lot of AoE CC like the Sejuani, picking the Hecarim in the top, and the hard engage comp did so much better than the space control comp. So that veteran shot calling that we can only assume is coming from a player like Hart has put them in good stead in these best of 2s. And it seems like they're going to be one of those teams that, okay, maybe they won't be up there in the top 4, but getting a 2-0 win against them, especially when we move towards the business end of the season, is never going to be an easy proposition.
Yeah, and once again, it is going to be the ban away of the Gnar here from long as we do enter Champion Select, ladies and gentlemen. Urgot's going to be taken away from Sketch as well. We're talking about the fact that he was more than happy to pick that one up. Not going to grab it this game around. And LeBlanc is going to hit the bench as well. Not wanted to first pick that one. Of course, Zhao, who you mentioned before, able to play that champion. Sort of maybe a little bit shy to pick it up now that he's faced Dade's Vladimir. But UP now considering their final ban, and Gragas is still up. They haven't touched the jungle pool whatsoever. MLXG, if you don't pick that right now, I'm going to be very disappointed, and I am.
He picks the Azir. Cassiopeia is still up, but obviously RNG are highly prioritizing that Azir. But remember, this is Zhao who's Azir, by far his strongest champion. Even when Gamti was struggling, Zhao would be a one-man army on the Azir, specifically drawing bans in games when Azir was right there in the meta, or even when he started to be pushed out of the meta as some rounds of nerfs came through. I think you have to take it just because of his individual strength on the champion. The Azir Sex, just an easy thing for Azir to put off. But as you mentioned, so much power available in the draft, and Amy, this is carry jungler versus carry jungler. MLXG wouldn't necessarily have called him a carry jungler, but such has been his performance in week 2. He's been one of the jungle MVPs of the week, and they're giving Amy a very powerful pick to start off this draft.
But every single game RNG played yesterday, it was the Rek'Sai that was banned away. MLXG still has the opportunity to go for one of these sort of high-impact early-game junglers. Alistair was left open here as well, and Whoosh played 2 games in a row of Lucian, looked incredibly comfortable on that champion, and they could even go for a Nunu comp here as well. I mean, you've mentioned just previously the fact that, you know, Huey was playing the Nunu, maybe not had the impact that he wanted to, but the idea was there with the fact that having the Azir, having the Lucian, a lot of synergy for the Blood Boil.
It's something exciting to see. Sketch is at least considering his famous jinx that he took through the LSPL. This would finally be a hyper carry choice. They can already see that the mid laner isn't going to be someone who can get on top of Sketch and really threaten him down. But with the Urgot taken away, he has the option of going the selfish choice, but speeding up a Hecarim has been a very consistent win condition for a lot of teams. And with Casson being available, okay, won't have a lot of lane control early. It's still a largely favorable matchup against the Azir.
Yep, Sky. No surprises, ladies and gentlemen. It is going to be the Scion locked in, and it looks like Sky's champion pool trouble is not going to be hindered here today, but we were talking about this. We're talking about the fact that Aluka has got 100% Scion bans against him. These Scion mains are still getting work done, and Sky was impossible to kill. We saw that, the fact that he has 0 deaths in the LPL thus far, but that's on Fizz and Scion now, and his Scion just was ridiculous.
I think it's being too reductive calling Sky in particular Scion main. It's definitely been Aluka's main champion.
So yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Is
why
the fact
you're
that
banning
he's the
him
Scion
away,
man.
but Sky is getting to that stage, and even after all the Scion nerfs, his kit is all about tankiness, excellent CC, and then just hyper scales in terms of health. Doesn't even need a Cinderhulk to be an unkillable monster in the late game. UP actually only had support to pick with the last pick and go for Nami, so clearly valuing a bit of disengage to go along with what is a lot of threats on this UP side.
Yeah, UP, of course, a lot of displacement as well. The Onslaught of Shadows as well as the explosive cast. Now with the Tidal Wave just to disrupt things even more. It's going to be hard to catch people with that the Aqua Prison, the bubble. But look, we'll see whether he can make it work. And of course, now they've got sort of disengage options aplenty with a Sivir. So we'll see how that one works out, because of course Sivir often used just to try and get in amongst it. Is this comp more about getting someone on their own and picking the team fight apart one by one?
The big struggle that UP will have, regardless of how the game turns out, is they have pretty weak lanes. They have the Hecarim versus Sion. Okay, Sion doesn't have a lot of kill pressure on the Hecarim, but has a lot of lane control. Hecarim's just going to be trying to find farm wherever he can, has the smite. Already mentioned the Kassadin versus Xia matchup. Surprisingly strong one for Kassadin when it comes to Kassadin matchups, but will still struggle for any semblance of lane control. And now in the bottom lane, Lucian is a favorable matchup against Sivir. Will the Nami be able to equalize some of the threat? It does have a little bit more sustained potential than the Alistar, although with the Alistar's maxing heal, that actually turns on its head, and Alistar becomes a real sustain bot. So just on paper, a lot of losing lanes, so a lot of work for Amy to do, but if Amy can somehow find a way to snowball one of these losing lanes, I really like UP because in the late game, Kassadin, Sivir, Hecarim do so much work. We've seen that trio together before, and it could do a lot of work again.
Yeah, well, we'll see if it does as we hop onto the Rift. Ladies and gentlemen, here we are with RNG taking on UP for our second match of the day. RNG on the blue side this time around, and so far, a bit of a fan out, not exactly the deep vision assessing lane swaps going on this time. Looks like Sivir spending some time on the top side of the map though, so it looks like UP may be considering moving that towards the top side.
So let's talk about RNG, because I talked a bit, we talked about UP's team comp. RNG's team comp as Sky being silly.
Okay.
So RNG, when they're not tanking turrets at level 1 as Sion, what they want to do is to use that strength they picked in the lanes to get control over Dragon. Because you look at this comp, usually the best Azir comps are Azir Kalista or Azir Vayne or Azir peeling for a hyper carry with the Emperor's Divide, one of the strongest disengage tools in the game. I feel like Sky's made a big mistake here, because now that he's taken a lot of free damage, why wouldn't you invade either for vision or just to kill him at his camp?
Yeah, I guess he was probably just trying to make this wolf camp take a little bit faster because you die earlier, get that extra damage down. But you can see now 4-man strong UP moving through the jungle. No vision, of course, skipped out of the side.
He's going to get a mighty fry.
He is. I think we are too, because of course we don't have any vision here, but he's not going to die. But isn't going to be able to take down the wolves. There are 4 members here. They can see them. Is he just going to move to the Raptor camp, do that one instead?
So he doesn't lose much out of this trade. You could see from his positioning, he was actually positioned in the way that gave him the most advanced vision, and again, the best escape route to get out. So dies, and we'll do it in relatively good speed. So even if Sivir decides to fast push, we'll get to lane. So even though it looked silly, and I think it's a bit questionable because the only way you can take damage is giving the enemy full knowledge of what you're doing, it shouldn't affect the Sion too much. The lane swap is initiated on. It does suit Sivir, so UP get a safe lane swap and perhaps more options, and Sion still picks up his camp. We're just coming back to RNG. With their lane control in multiple lanes, and even the fact they have a better 1v2 lane, monopolize your control about Dragon, because your spacings in team fights, the best way for Azir to do damage is when enemies are aggressing onto him, which is kind of inevitable when we're talking about Hecarim, Kassadin, and Sivir. The only way to force fights this RNG comp realistically have, that they're fought on their terms, i.e. force the enemy team to dive, is get towards that 5th Dragon stat, is to fight around Baron. So vision and control over the neutrals is the very big way for RNG to win these fights towards the late game.
Yeah, and you've got Sky now moving towards the river here. Not sure what he's looking for. Does have the teleport. He's just going to head towards the top lane. Notices that Long is there. Kept his teleport. Did the Hecarim. Just going to head back, possibly to base. Does still have the flask there with a few stacks on it. So Sky doesn't miss out on too much.
Makes me smile because this is a very smart move. We just spent all that time explaining, okay, RNG, how do they get the big advantage? Get Dragon control. They counter lane swap. Looks like Lucian and Alistar were really considering what to do. They're still going to go bottom, but they were just trying to get Dragon control back, ensure there was no free Dragons, which is what happens if you're a red side team and you lane swap onto the top side of the map. Now they've got 2 members in bottom. The first Dragon is no longer free. The Dragon stacking will be delayed, and it's a smart move from UP to equalize the Dragon threat that's always given up by lane swaps.
Yeah, Sky actually taking a lot of damage here as well. He's going to be forced to flash. There's the shield down, but is it going to be enough to save his life? Oh, the Rampage doesn't land, but the body slam, that's going to lock the kill down. Amy nets himself first blood.
And Sky awkwardly did not get to flash over the cove. Tried to flash over the fattest part of the terrain, didn't manage it, face planted in an awkward fashion. and died. So now the no-flash Hecarim actually picks up a kill involvement, can control this wave, and Sky doesn't have teleport. Complete lane control guaranteed for Lung. And we asked this about Amy. Can he take these weaker lanes and snowball them? Good job in the top lane.
Yeah, it looks like he's already starting here in a Hecarim. We know exactly what happens from the very most previous game in the hands of Flandre. We saw what happens when a Hecarim gets ahead. It doesn't matter about the matchup. You're still going to be an absolute menace to deal with. Jahu getting some decent pressure onto Punished here in the mid lane. But there's the headbutt pulverize onto Sketch now as well. Whoosh getting some decent damage down. Boomerang going to come back and get some damage over him as well. But damage advantage going towards Whoosh.
They definitely underrate Alistair's sustain in lane, especially if you max heal first. Okay, you don't have as much kill threat, but just given the fact that you're in a 2v2 lane where minion waves are dying very, very frequently, you actually do more sustain than maybe not the newest iteration of Soraka, but previous Soraka iterations where the heal was on more of a 10-second cooldown. Could be great sustain in bot. Heart also going to be mostly focused around sustain as well. Sivir wants to sustain because it can be a fairly brutal matchup when she tries to trade with Lucian. But at present point, looking pretty even.
Yeah, and of course, always going to have the wave clear advantage is the UP bottom lane here with the Sivir on their side. CS advantage still in favor of RNG as they clean up the rest of this minion wave. And MLXG, uncharacteristically quiet the early stages of this game. As there's the Ian from Zhao, who doesn't get the shield though, but immediately the flash is used from Punished. I wasn't sure that that was entirely necessary, but...
He was worried about the Azir sec. Zhao was already level 6.
Yeah,
there was
true.
the potential pushing him back in. Was awkwardly one creep away from level 6 himself, where the Riftwalk would have really dissipated any hope. Heart's low.
Yeah, there's the flash from Whoosh, though. Locks down the kill. Sketch now might be in trouble as MLXG tunnels under the waterfall. He's burning down from the red buff. Whoosh wants to pick up the kill, but it's not going to be enough. Didn't quite get there for the Light Slinger.
It looked like he actually held on to spell shield until the Unburrow registered. Really nice use of summoner spells. Keeps Sketch alive, but first blood down bottom. We were mentioning that Sketch and Heart were looking comfortable in this lane, but very quickly answered.
That is the longest tunnel I've ever seen, by the way, there in the bottom lane. Not sure how MLXG even managed to make it through that wall.
Have you seen the turrets, sorry, the tunnels that come under turret when you go for the turret ganks around, I guess, bottom in this map? You can do some crazy things with that tunnel.
Well, yeah, I'm learning this right now, as it is going to be destroyed there. That was a work of art, that tunnel, Sketch. Very rude. Dragon, though, he's going to fall down. RNG are going to lock that one in. They are still behind in gold, just because that first blood really helping them out there. And you can see this top lane going fully in favor of UP. We'll see whether MLXG is going to pay a visit, make sure that he can help at least deal with the fact that this Hecarim's getting out of control.
All Sky can really do is try to control this wave. Obviously, so many ranged pushing options for Sion can just max the Decimating Smash and push it into wave. But because of the lack of kill pressure, unless MLXG joins them, Whoosh sidesteps.
Yeah, there's the teleport in from the top lane as well as Heart. He's taking a bit
Level
of damage,
6.
but Lei most definitely going to die. There's the ultimate from Long. Takes him a little bit of a while, but Lei does fall down in the end. Of course, the cow not quite level 6. Couldn't use that Unbreakable Will. MLXG going to knock up Amy here just quickly. Looks like he was taking negative damage, though. And MLXG just trying to protect his red buff.
Amy has a level advantage to MLXG. Okay, cannot bite off more than he can chew. Amy isn't able to pick up the enemy red buff, so a relatively even trade and dissuades the enemy from picking up the red buff.
Yeah, and actually, Sky back in touching distance of this farm. Of course, Long picking up a kill for himself towards the bottom side of the map, going to help him out there, so not going to be worried about it at all. Now has the Cinderhulk enchantment completed. Is MLXG going to take down the red buff? Hits that level 5. Wants to get to the Void Rush as quickly as he can, but Sky does now have a Glacial Shroud, so helping him here in the top side. And I think regardless of how this lane's going to go, I mean, he's still Sion. He's still going to get to a point where it's going to be very hard to kill him.
But the issue with picking the Sion is that I agree. You'll reach a point where Sion will be an unkillable force that does excellent work in team fights. The other issue, though, about laning against Sion is that you're getting to the point where Hecarim being an unstoppable force in team fights is also going to be an inevitability. While Hecarim doesn't have the same suite of CC to really be useful in late game team fights, the burst damage and the flexible options and the diving is always going to have the advantage to Hecarim. So the gank that Amy put forward has just basically guaranteed that we're going to see another showing of the big late game Hecarim, and whether RNG can deal with that or not really remains to be seen.
Oh, and you're going to be very impressed. Lei's actually leveling Q first.
The Q first on the Alistar.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the sustain-heavy approach. I do like that. A bit more kill pressure. It also allows you to get the headbutt and the pulverize onto identical cooldown so that you don't have those awkward situations where you max headbutt and just don't have the pulverize available for a second one during a fight. It's definitely his most important team fight skill, so maxing it first is fine, though we have seen more and more people move towards the heal, which, you know, I don't really like the heal as the max, but it has its uses.
Yeah, non-interactive, of course, doesn't allow for as much of an exciting laning phase, but is safe. But I do like the fact that Lei going for a more aggressive approach on this cow. MLXG is going to head to the safety of the pink ward here in the Tri-Brush as Sketch and Hart going to move back. The Spidey senses were tingling. They understood that there could have been a jungler lurking. But look at this deep vision from UP, not swept out at all by RNG. You can see what's going on around the red side jungle of RNG. You can see where MLXG is moving about.
Yeah, we're just watching the top lane. Long has nothing to worry about. Trying to compound on the misery of Sky is Amy trying to look for a gank. Doesn't look like it's going to be successful, but Sky's overextending a little bit. You require both the Terrify and the Devastating Charge to push them into the Gragas for any semblance of a gank to be pulled off there. So probably too many variables to realistically get anything done.
Yeah. So they are going to maneuver into the jungle, though. Whoosh, sort of a saving grace here for RNG. Unable to really hold on to too much of a lead to speak of, as Sketch didn't even fall down in the last fight. 5 CS in the lead, probably not going to be enough, as Amy going toe-to-toe with Xiaohu here just a little bit. Oh, actually using the E to go aggressive. There's the Emperor's Divide, but Long might capitalize on this. Decides instead to take away the jungle camps. Punished coming through as well. But Xiaohu unable to really find too much and actually gives up the Wolf Spirit.
Long just had to watch to see if Punish was able to rotate fast enough. Caston was too far away, so using the ultimate there would have been a bit of a futile exercise. Heartsback's actually stopped.
Yeah, MLXG creating a little bit of a source of trouble, but Sketch might find his way in here. Hart almost dying, actually, as the turret thankfully tanking up some minions now, going to save MLXG's life. Oh, Hart has to be careful. May not want to go too far forward, as Woosh could probably end him with just a couple of spells and some light slingers. He's going to have to go back now as well.
Struck me as a weird use of the Nami wave there, just because Lung didn't have teleport up, so there was no potential for Hecarim, even though he's winning this lane in CS values. Landslide again, which is again another shadow of what we saw in the previous game, where we saw another Hecarim basically free farm his way against a Gnar. Against a Sion, it's basically coming out the same way, and the carry build, it's coming early.
It is, and he's got the, like you mentioned, the Phage already built up. Starting to go for Trinity Force instead of what we saw from Flandre, which was...
too, though.
Yeah, so no rush towards the home guards. Does look like UP more than happy just to continue the laning phase, don't really want to get to any early team fights, so I sort of like it. You don't really need the all-important home guard teleport to start off a team fight.
Just to reiterate champion select, scaling top laner, scaling mid laner, both these champions going to be massively strong in the late game. Not to discount the strength and the damage of Azir or the tankiness of Sion, but I believe the duo is just innately stronger than their enemies, and Kassadin uniquely qualified to deal with Azir in team fights having the Rift Walk. UP just want to ensure that they pick up CS and the members they need to, and obviously job done there, and not lose too many objectives. No turrets have gone down, but they might actually look to fight around the second dragon.
Yeah, Amy, actually, I don't even think he's got vision here of the dragon.
He does now.
Oh, yeah, 50-50 now. An opportunity here as it's going to be stolen away from Amy. The tunnel's going to be used, but Lei able to use the Unbreakable Will just to at least keep him alive for a little bit longer. Nice bubble there from Hart, but the flash over the wall going to save the cow's life. Very nice use of the smite there from Amy, and going to mean that RNG unable to pick up the sneaky dragon.
And now, not even that 5th dragon stack around the 30 minutes is looking realistic for RNG. Neutrals are their big point of power. They have the strong farming laners that are able to control their wave and push things out as needed. But after those early games, you can see Sion really not able to do very much in terms of wave control on top, and kill pressure never been his forte.
No, he's not going to be able to kill the Hecarim, who's now taking away a
proxy
Gromp
and then take away the enemy Gromp, which makes it even harder for Sion to hope to duel with the Gromp buff riding. Hecarim's running all over Elena, and if we've learned anything from history, that looks good for UP.
It most certainly does. It's very recent history. In fact, my memory can even understand what's going on here. There's the Void Rush from MLXG. Does have the Sightstone now on top of the Warrior Enchant that he's picked up on the Rek'Sai. Of course, one of the only players here in the LPL that still likes to go for that one. Oh, they're going to miss the combo. The culling going to come out anyway from Whoosh. Does at least get himself the spell shield, but not quite there. Headbutt on a minion. Unfortunate stuff.
I think it's actually an excellent time to pick up the Warrior Enchant, given that early objective fights are what this comp does best. This is what they need, so get the most power early. Do not delay your power spike to match those of the enemy teams, because you just don't have the same champions like to really justify. So Warrior Enchant Rek'Sai, so much stronger in the skirmishes and in the team fights, has potential to dive the backline and at least chunk someone out severely. If they play around it and use it, it's great. Obviously, if they just wait it out and we move to the late game, it won't do as much work as Cinderhulk Rek'Sai.
Yeah, actually Punish taking a bit of damage here from Xiaohu. Able to get the auto attacks in there, and the attacking soldiers helping out as well. Long standing on top of a ward, and Sky defending valiantly his top turret. The Soul Furnace going to help him out there as far as clearing out the minions. Punish now at about a third health. Xiaohu just harassing the Kassadin forever. But 0-0-0 for both of our mid laners. Very even is the farm.
The kill scores in general in the LPL, just not what they used to be.
No, they're not. Sort of having teams playing calculated League of Legends, Papa Smithy. What's that about?
I think it's just a semblance of this patch. 5.8 onto 5.10 has been largely solved. We've already seen a massive international tournament, everyone bringing around their best strategies. Speaking of strategies.
Yeah, MLXG with the double knock-up, at least looking for it. There's a Pulverize to talk about here for Lei, but MLXG getting it turned around on him. Xiaohu going to take down the turret in the mid lane as Whoosh making his way back into this lane. The flash from MLXG, insta-flash from Sketch, though. He's able to secure that one. Now is definitely incredibly dead. That was got himself a kill.
Really strange from MLXG to overextend so strong with Lucian literally still at his inner turret walking to lane. That over-aggression was punished. 1-for-1 trade. They take down the AD carry, and the gold does go over to Whoosh, so I guess that's a good sign. Already had picked up the Infinity Edge, now going to be faster and faster working to his next item. But strange maneuvering from MLXG.
Yep, it's an odd one. Of course, MLXG was known for a bit of that.
2 turrets to 0, though. They've powered down 2 turrets very quickly.
They have. So mid lane outer turret did fall down. Sun turret was replacing it there for Xiaohu. Long's going to answer it in the top lane as Sky's going to make his way back up there. Unstoppable Onslaught is available, but may not use it just to attempt to save this turret. And might even be in trouble if he heads around here as well, because of course Hart making his way there with Amy as well. It's a lot of CC in that combo, and the tower is going to fall down. So Sky just going to make his way into the lane, continue to farm this one out, but Hart and Amy trying to get something done. Sky trying to run away. Lei does get the headbutt pulverized there, but Sky forced to use the flash. Decimating Smash finds some damage, but not going to find any more.
Yeah, Sky probably had to flash ultimate, and in the end just had to flash, but flash was not optional in that particular situation. Lives, watches his turret fall down, and with the standing gold being on the advantage of RNG, they've actually managed to pick up the second turret, so more standing gold existing for UP, but with the 2 turrets, still being in a gold disadvantage just because of how the laning phase is gone for UP.
Yeah. So 500 gold in the lead. Of course, it's not too much.
The top lane, though, is the big.
Yeah.
Because remember, 161 to 114, you might be reductive and say, okay, that's almost 50 CS. But remember that some of those CS that Lung's picked up is in the bottom.
Yeah, MLXG actually going to find the knock-up onto Sketch here as well. Uses the spell shield, but Sky just going to wander away. Gets caught by the Aqua Prison, and this Scion is going to die. It's going to take a little while. He's going to get there in the end. Actually, there's the Soul Furnace. Hart ends up picking the kill with the Ebb and Flow. This guy going to run at Sketch now as well.
Lung did everything he could to pass the kill over to his AD carry, and Hart still is too bloodthirsty.
Yep, liked it. Liked it all. Oh, nice flash as the headbutt comes in there from Lei. Maybe he's going to survive the onslaught here, but the tower is not. So the answering turret here in the top lane for Whoosh, but they might be able to pick up an inner in the bottom lane. UP with absolutely no opposition at all down here.
Rek'Sai just milling around the mid lane, not contributing anything below half health.
Oh, actually, he's going to be trying to get something here as well, but MLXG going to fall down. The flash out, then the Rift Walk from Punished. He's going to be safe. Meanwhile, the tower does fall down, and Xiaohu splitting his focus just a little bit between these two. There's the attack onto Punished, but not going to find too much. So
think about how much UP are picking up. They lost their outer turret, 2 outer turrets almost instantaneous. Now pick up an outer and inner and steal away the red buff. You'd have to think with this deep vision they've picked up, the next dragon in 0 seconds time, literally just spawning now, should be theirs. RNG are going to be in position first, and no teleport available from Lung, so it might be still, despite the tide of the game, a second dragon to RNG.
Yeah, RNG trying to rush this one down as quickly as possible. We'll see whether UP can make it in time, but MLXG is able to get there with the smite, and late thinking about waiting for something as Xiaohu makes his way in. Emperor's Divide not available just yet, and the culling just out of range, and Hart is going to survive for now. Amy locks down the blue buff for his team, and RNG make their way out. Hart, sorry, very, very low. So not going to be a true 5v5 unless he can get himself back up to health. But in the end, RNG say, yes, we'll take a dragon and we'll get out.
And not ideal to have to put the blue buff onto Gragas, but of course better than the enemy taking it away. And I just want to return quickly to the point about the CS advantage. 50 CS-ish is the advantage for Lung, but remember that because he has that smite, some of those CS are really big monsters that give you a lot more gold than lane creeps. So that lead is implied larger, probably about 70 CS advantage.
Yeah, Punish is going to get knocked up, but of course has the Riftwalk still available. Sky looking far more squishy than he should really with the Scion in his back pocket. And if you don't get the farm, then the Scion just unable to stack up the passive on his E. Not really going to be able to get to a point where he's that super tank monster. Frozen Heart is, of course, there, but not going to help him against Kassadin, who, as you can see, doing a fair bit of damage. Actually, Woosh just going to kill Sketch, who I believe was Emperor's Divided, back into the team. The UP now caught in an interesting position. MLXG looking to find something. There's the ultimate unstoppable onslaught, going to net another kill for the AD carry. RNG trying to snowball off this. They're pinging on the inner turret in the middle lane. And Lung, he's back in the top lane, doesn't have the teleport. Amy might get caught here. Another knock-up onto Punish. Xiaohu makes his way in. A spectacular entry there as Sky gets the slow onto Amy. He's going to fall. Whoosh locks down the red buff for himself as well, and Punished. He's able to escape, but he's letting his team members die.
I love the assertive play from RNG. My first thought was Baron, but at 21 minutes with Amy still alive, probably too risky, but they took the most direct route to the thing they pinged. The objective they pinged was that inner mid lane turret. They found Amy in his jungle, took him down there. It's a good sign of aggression from RNG and understanding that with those 2 members down, they could make up what they would, and what they did was take away the jungler, take away the red buff. They don't quite get the turret, but they put themselves in the best position to pick up as many objectives as possible.
Yeah, and this is what they need to be doing as well. They need to be creating opportunities for themselves, and in a game that looked like they were slowly losing.
Absolutely. And it did look like that. The tide was going against them, but the moment that Sketch died off screen in just a overextension, you'd have to think, maybe baited into doing turret damage with Sivir's low 500 range, things were turned around for UP. So the gold lead, it's still 1,000 gold. I still like the scaling that's going to come through from UP, but if they get too cute, RNG, they still have a fearsome late game in their own right.
Yeah, well, you're talking about an Azir here in the hands of Xiaohu, who has already showed himself to be a fantastic Azir player. Now with that Rabbidan's death cap. But he's against Punished, who showed some great Kassadin in the past as well. So no discredit here for UP, and this is actually getting to the point where it's going to be quite a tight late game as far as working out who's going to be ahead, who's going to have the opportunities to make plays, and it's going to come down to who's going to make the decisive moves around the map, who's going to be able to get those strategic master strokes towards the late game. And that's what we're looking for in League of Legends. This is the exciting part.
And while the item spikes are pretty flat across the side of Unlimited Potential, because honestly, everyone's got in on the act in terms of kills, same is not true in RNG. And a 4-0-0 Lucian, definitely ahead of his lane opponent Sketch. 1-0-2, the only other kill credit goes on to Azir, who's obviously farmed very well. They've both put all their gold into offensive items, not the Zhonya's Hourglass to maybe ensure that the Azir sec players are very, very safe coming out from Xiaohu. He's just going a full damage build. Given the fact that they have mid-game, so it's probably the smartest idea. We're going to see a replay of what happened to good old Sketch, I have to think.
Yeah. See when he just gets picked off by Xiaohu here.
We're lying in wait.
The next Sand Soldier attack, I believe. There it is.
Yep. Lovely Azir sec play. Didn't even have to use the flash. Mechanics on point. Bit of a long clip, but we got the feel of it nonetheless.
Yeah, and was really well played by Xiaohu there as well, moving himself a long way with the attack and, of course, the E. Amy moving around to his Raptor camp, but notices that MLXG has discarded that one. Has picked up a Locket of the Iron Solari here as well, and that's not going from an Aegis of the Legion towards that. That was a Kindle Gem now into that Locket straight away, so a lot more magic resist for the team. Not exactly that useful when it's sort of just a Kassadin and a Nami that are going to be doing much of the magic damage. Spirit of Dread as well, and I guess Amy's damage, but we shall see whether that's going to be working out, of course. Actually, I mean, I guess Long and Sketch are doing the majority of the physical and I guess a lot of the damage apart from Punished.
Yeah,
still Locket's going to be good.
I think Locket just builds, so it gives you those stats. Has 2 Kindle Gems in it, sorry, 2 Ruby Crystals in it, so it gives you a nice stack of health and the cooldown reduction. And just even the active is useful against both damage types, not just the, the magic damage, of course. So against burst damage in general, we're going to see plenty of burst trades between Lung and Punished. Even Siva, a lot of her damage can be the burst coming through from the Boomerang Blade. Still going to be an invaluable item. UP, they kind of have a dichotomy here as Punish has gone for a lot of power early and Lung has got a bit of everything. So Lung's going to power up a bit later, maybe 35 minutes. We'll see the likes of the Trinity Force, the Frozen Heart, and the Spirit Visage, but for now just has the parts, whereas a lot of power on Punish. His dive build is complete with 10 stack Rod of Ages into the Zonyas.
Yeah, and even has a cheeky Fiendish Codex there as well. Not quite with the boots upgrade. We'll see what he decides to go with. Of course, as a Kassadin, you can grab those Mercury's Treads and feel pretty good about yourself as well. Of course, a bit of a Dade special on that one. Loves to get Mercury's Treads on his mid laners.
Is lying in wait. He's in base. Has Home Guard teleport available. Sion walking slowly out of base himself.
Lumbering, one would say.
Lung's just amusing himself in base, walking around a little bit, waiting for what will no doubt be a devastating teleport. They don't quite have aggressive flank wards, though, so they need to watch where they act from, because it could be quite predictable when it comes to the initiation from Hecarim.
Yeah, Lei actually staying very, very ahead here as MLXG wants to come over the backside of the Dragon Wall.
Going to releash and heal up very, very soon.
He actually has sort of found new targets quite a few times here as Preyseeker going to come through from MLXG, and now he's got a whole bunch of his health back. MLXG looking to try and pick up the aggro here as he moves around with his team. Aqua Prison doesn't find the mark. Neither does Preyseeker. And Dragon's going to be caught up on again. Lung still hasn't teleported just yet. We'll let you know exactly when that one comes through as it's now down to about 2,000 health. Sketch with the auto attacks here as well as MLXG wants to find his way in. Here are the teleports. He makes his way onto the fight, but the Dragon taken by UP. Lung finding his way in. There's the ultimate, but Whoosh surviving it for now. Punished, looking for the AD carry, and Whoosh still alive in the backline. Beautiful use of the culling as well as he finally goes down. Punish gets caught though. There's Sky picking himself up, at least an assist for that one, and there are 2 members dead apiece for both sides, but a lot of the damage dead for UP. They will have to get out of there. And
we mentioned that fights that are on RNG's terms are the ones they're looking for. Azir was not aggressed on whatsoever in that fight.
That was actually a 2-for-1. In fact, RNG still have 4 members alive. I thought that Sky was dead because his picture's so dark.
No, it definitely suited RNG. Azir was able to free hit. They eventually got to Whoosh, but they used so many ultimates. All the stacks of the Riftwalk for the Kassadin, who died even with the Zhonya's reset.
Oh, MLXG unable to survive that one. He lives for now, but Amy locks down the kills. I think Baron helped him out there just a little bit. Don't want to be behind a Baron in the pick. Yes, you certainly don't. Uses his flash there as well as Hart does notice the fact that the blue buff is being started. And this guy's going to smack it away so that it can't get stolen.
It's an excellent time for UP to show pressure because look at the bottom. The most insane minion wave pushing in. Cause as much commotion around mid as possible and force RNG to react in the mid.
Yeah, and actually Whoosh is going to be heading down to pick up the farm. Doesn't actually really know what he's doing here as he's moving almost every which way. Sky knows that he needs the farm more than anyone else in the entire world, and he's going to head down there. Actually, maybe Cola last game needed a little bit more, but Sky, especially in this game, definitely needs some of that. Needs to become the super tank in the late game. And we saw in that last team fight, still able to get the job done. He managed to get a fully channeled decimating smash onto Kassadin.
Frozen Heart into Banshee Veil. Very, very tanky, man. His W passive, giving him a lot of innate scaling.
W passive, okay, of course.
And you said E before.
I did.
The W.
I failed.
That's
I haven't played much Sion myself.
He's not the most fun. I mean, some people revel in the fun of nobody else having any fun. Team of players come to mind.
Hey, I'm a Yorick player. Quite enjoy playing that guy. I build Trinity for Zessa, though.
Well, there you go. See, you find fun, even in the unfun.
Yeah, he can actually quite happily build a Ginsu's Rage Blade on Yorick as well.
You can't happily build a Ginsu's Rage Blade on anything.
Yes, you can! On everything!
You can. If you want to be liberal about the word can, you do have the possibility of building a Ginsu's Rage Blade.
It's available in the shop.
It is indeed. They don't read it out. Maybe they should.
You don't need to take Surge in order to build the item. You get it for free. It's incredible. Yeah. Long is going to clear out this bottom lane. 4 members strong of UP in the mid lane. They now understand that Happy just to make sure that they have the split pushing threat in Long as we have a look at how this dragon fight went.
So watch how many resources have to be used to finally go into Woosh. He hits the explosive cast, gets away, punished, training on top of him. And Woosh still alive this one. The Cullen doing a lot of damage. Finally will be taken out by a Force Pulse, but both carries die in the pursuit of Woosh. And 2 for 1 in carries, only a Hecarim with no Trinity Force left to really duel. Maybe that fight will be effective later in the game when we're talking about a Spirit Visage Frozen Heart Trinity Force Hecarim, but still 2,000 plus gold away from that point.
Yeah, and this is a point that you made very recently. Sky's going to go in. There's the Unstoppable Onslaught. Hart going to get caught by that one as MLXG wants to lock down the kill. Gets exhausted, but still able to get there. As the Emperor's Divide, not going to do too much as Amy's going to body slam around. Punish going to get caught by another one, but Long's going to destroy the Azir in the backline. RNG pick up the double kill on the back of it. And if Long can only pick up 1 when they lose 3 in the team fight, the Hecarim's not necessarily able to do its job as effectively as he'd like.
Now, if you compare the effectiveness of the 2 tanks, Sky is able to dive onto the enemy carries, then go move back and peel with his big suit of CC on that kit very, very effectively. Woosh lives during that trade. Azir, crucially, was singled out by Long, but without burst damage, took a while to kill him. And Sivir just couldn't do damage for most of the fight because it was just zoned by the Scion. Yeah,
actually, Sketch and Long able to get some work done, though. Pick up the inner turret here as the Spell Shield not actually going to work. There's the Void Rush coming in through the backside, but Sketch dodging out of the way of everything. Sky takes a lot of killing. There's the double Pulverize. Whoosh getting the damage down onto Sketch. Nice double bubble there from Hart, but it's now only Long available. Decimating Smash, the Bouncing Horse. Is a very cool thing to see, but not great if you're a UP fan and RNG able to lock down the kills.
Just the reliability of Sion is trumping Hecarim.
I like your little song during the team fight too, as Sion's just surviving everything.
Well, it's just hilarious to see the 1v3 casually walking through. Okay, maybe in the late game when the last Whispers and Phantom Dance of the games are completed, we will see kill pressure onto Sion, but it almost feels like he always outscales your damage, at least until 40 minutes into the game.
Yeah, maybe. And then he has a Warmogs and a Thornmail and you just can't get through anything.
You never carve through a Scion like butter. That's just not a thing that happens. It's because he's so inherently tanky, and he's doing his job much better than Lung's. One of the points I made was, okay, Lung is free CSing. We're going to expect great things from him in the late game. It's not quite the late game yet because he doesn't actually have the damage you have to respect. He has the Frozen Heart, he has the Spirit Visage, he has the Cinder Hulk, but he needs to have a dive threat because at the moment, Sion's base damages need to be respected by Sketch, so he's being zoned from fights. Amy and Punish are fighting so far away with the dive that Sketch isn't doing damage in fights, and they're losing out in terms of threats because it's not even a Trinity Force Hecarim.
No. I actually like that the most consistent threat to kill a Sion is in fact the Wolf Camp.
It's pretty good at level 1.
Yeah. It's the only thing that consistently killed Sion.
The outer turret looked pretty good too, but he moved away.
Yeah.
Definitely
didn't
dodged
quite
the last
get there.
bolt.
Didn't quite get there. Tower wanting a little bit more range. UP now setting up for the Dragon.
All important third Dragon available here. Be massive for Hecarim, obviously, with his movement speed scaling, but the rotations in general, super, super important, so I expect a big contest. Home Guard is available, but is choosing to group with the team. Maybe now he will be able to just body block for this Sivir. They need a fight where Sketch can do damage, because 2 times in a row, Sion has basically made her a non-factor.
Yeah, and Exhaust just coming back off cooldown here as well as Amy's going to take a fair bit of damage. Sketch gets caught by the onslaught of the Unstoppable Onslaught, sorry, as Sky's going to flash out of the way here. RNG now regrouping as well. Amy taking a fair bit of damage, and the Boomerang over the team doing some work as well, but successful disengage from both sides by the looks of things. As RNG now preparing to try and siege this one down again. Punished, of course, can move into the battlefield very quickly. Xiaohu, fairly similar. Able to use the E to get himself up close, but probably wants to save that for the team fight as Amy's going to start this one off. Xiaohu's got this wave pushing. The top lane actually means that RNG are on the clock just a little bit. MLXG wants to try and get in there for the steal. A lot on his back now. as it's down to 2,500 health. Amy's around here. The horse looking for a flank is going to be able to get one, but the releash of the dragon, we're going to start this dance all over again.
Okay, now maybe the home guard play can happen, but for another fight in a row, there's no real aggressive ward where you'd want it around the Raptor camp so you could get a really impressive flank. At the moment, the only ward is behind the dragon plate completely, so you'd have to go all the way around if you're the Hecarim. If you're going to go for these gimmicky players, and even though it happens often, it's still a little bit gimmicky.
Yeah, there's the teleport. MLXG does pick up the third dragon, though, long into the backline. Whoosh is the focus here as he tries to get out of the way, but not going to survive. Punished in amongst the fight, as well as Sky and MLXG are caught off from their team. Zhao, who gets pushed back, and this is where the tanks need to be, in front of the Azir and the Lucian, but they weren't there. And RNG lose all of their damage in one fell swoop, and that could mean the Baron and UP. What a massive lead to take from that team fight.
And after 2 fights in a row where RNG's positioning was excellent, as you mentioned, the tanks are nowhere to be seen. Both damage dealers die. You have a full health, full mana Scion, and it doesn't matter. No,
MLXG going to clear out this bottom lane of minions, and largely it's been about this minion wave control, because now they can head to the top lane as well. On the hunt's been popped, and with the Baron buff minions, Sky's pretty tanky, able to try and drift around that wall a little bit, but the Aqua Prison, that's going to keep him there. And this isn't a wolf camp, this is Team UP, and they are going to kill a Scion.
No one is tanky against 5 members Atlas. 2 or 3, Scion is definitely within a shout, but in this particular situation, nothing can do. With the Baron buff minions.
Oh, Sketch almost falling down to the culling there, and that's going to save the turret at least here for Whoosh, who's got 4 items. This is a huge Lucian.
So peel for him. That's what they were not able to do after doing it so deftly the 2 times previously. Now the Last Whisper is completed for Sketch, also has a BF sword on the top. Suddenly, the carries are getting threat onto these massively tanky front lines. Crucially, no Void Staffs completed, so Punished and Zhao are going to have to be dealing mostly with base values. But the Void Staffs coming through might be the big tipping point, because diving through an 800 AP Void Staff Azir, we've seen multiple times, even just this split, is not something you can do easily.
No, definitely not. Of course, he's 2,000 gold ahead still, is Wushin against his lane opponent, Sketch. So, of course, a bit of money was in the bank there for this Sivir, so probably going back to pick up a few items there. With 2,000 gold behind, it means that Bloodthirster not quite completed just yet. And in fact, not a whole lot of sustain. So now Whoosh with a slight advantage there on that front. Long nowhere to be seen. Doesn't have the teleport just yet either, but they are going to be able to steal away the red buff. MLXG in the bottom side trying to push things through.
Baron buff duration's just under 50%. They will not break the base with it. They have 2 outer turrets down, but of course one of them was much earlier in the game. We're waiting to see if they can break the base. One of the issues they'll have, they only have 2 ranged auto attackers. One of them is their support in Nami, who's obviously not going to be that adept at taking down turrets. The other one's Sivir, who has short range but excellent turret damage. Can't really dive this comp though, but they're diving in anyway.
Yeah, Amy looks to try and grab the explosive cast. Doesn't quite get it done there as Amy's going to fall down. There's the culling. Heart's going to get shredded as well as Sketch trying to find his way out of that one. And that was an engage from UP that just flat out didn't work.
It's a big mistake for Amy trying to solo engage, because Zhao was free hitting. You need immediate threat onto basically either Zhao or Whoosh, or you will lose a fight. And RNG, even against Baron, are pushing aggressively.
Yeah, they're trying to grab whatever they can. They understand that this horse is probably going to be immovable as the turret is going to fall down. There's the tidal wave as Punished, trying to get something done. Sketch offers a boomerang to Whoosh, who just takes it happily with his Bloodthirster shield. Tower falls down in the top lane. Only 1 tower with that Baron buff, though. You generally expect to see a little bit more, especially at this stage of the game, and with the control of all the minion waves that UP did have. So Long doing his job, split pushing that one out, and this horse is getting stronger and stronger. Almost will have the Randuin's Omen as well soon. And, I mean, that's just going to be the icing on the cake, or the nail in the coffin, depending on which analogy you want to go for.
They still have to pull off the perfect engage. No Zhonya's being completed by Zhao, who makes him the easiest target to take down. QSS completed from Lucian makes him a little bit more slippery. But Amy and Long need to make Zhao a non-factor in a team fight. That's what Hecarim can do with this massive build that he has. Dive in there with the Onslaught of Shadows, throw on the challenging smite, and actually have kill threat with the Trinity Force, especially because there's no armor whatsoever coming through from the build from Zhao just yet. Zhonya's will change things, but for now, I feel like UP has superior options in a team fight. if they can deal with the Azir. And it's a big if as he starts to stack on AP.
Yeah, he's got that amplifying tone. We'll see whether that's going to be the Void Staff or, of course, any other option, whether it is going to be Zhonya's Hourglass, like you said. Long tried to steal away the jungle camp, but you can't out-jungle a jungler, is what our top laners have learnt.
Even with a couple of levels advantage.
Yeah, not going to happen. MLXG got this. He's going to back away as well, in full vision of Long.
Strangely, they've actually chosen Gragas. Amy's bringing up this minion wave in the top lane. A minute till Dragon. Equalizing third Dragon would be just equalizing that movement speed. With Sivir able to equalize the movement speed anyway, it's not the most biggest of concern, but still, reliable move speed. One of the hardest things to itemize in League of Legends, so you want to pick that up whenever you can. Lung's building up a minion wave. It's the weirdest 1-3-1 split push ever, and Sky's trying to end it.
Yeah, there's the onslaught, but doesn't really find his way into much there, but they do get the ultimate out of Sketch, which is a big deal.
Oh,
Long, though, he's
free
having
time.
Free time with this turret, already down to half health. That Trinity Force doing some work on the turret. They're pinging it out, but that's not going to stop it from going down as Long's trying to escape now as Lei. He wants to get him out of there. Beautiful onslaught of shadows. And that means that you can't get headbutted.
You see more Alistairs, and suddenly everyone in their dog is flashing headbutts, ulting headbutts.
Yeah.
That guaranteed Malphite-esque CC. Been outplayed multiple times today.
Not as guaranteed as you would have otherwise thought. As the Dragon has now respawned, the open base of RNG could possibly be under fire, under threat, as Long has the teleport once again, and he's going for the flank, looking for Whoosh one more time. This Dragon's going to be taken down relatively quickly. They have to make a move relatively soon. Oh, the teleport is there. They are going to lock down the Dragon, but here comes Long. There's a beautiful Emperor's Divide, though. They're saving Whoosh, who's able to cull the backline as well. Punish copping some damage from Whoosh, as well as Amy's trying to at least fight something there. Whoosh! Oh, beautiful QSS as Punish is going to Zhonya's Hourglass, able to get out of there as well as Long is going to take down the Azir. MLXG's dead as well, and Lei super low.
Oh.
Whooshin going for the godlike play. Secures 1 kill onto Sketch, but then does fall down to Punished. Lung, though, he's the problem. This horse can't be dealt with.
And when we saw 2 fights in a row with Sion excelling, we might have tried to return to that prediction I made in the late game, but Sion's so reliable, he does so much CC. Unfortunately, he's been completely ignored multiple fights in a row, and Lung is killing people and also needing to be accounted for. So while his CC isn't direct, he's not necessarily doing a lot of stunning, people have to react to how he moves.
Yeah, well, actually, Sky able to try and help his support player, but he's eventually going to fall down. Maybe multiple turrets available for UP as Sky just trying to clear out minion waves where he can. Void Rush from MLXG going to get him a little bit closer as he's going to secure possibly the blue buff.
The thing about Triforce Hecarim is that, you know, we talk about things like space control in League of Legends. I love talking about it when we're talking about a Ziggs or throw out a minefield and the enemy knows I can't walk over those. The thing about Hecarim is that in the early game, you might say, okay, he dives in with the Onslaught of Shadows. That's a really important Terrify. He's got a very small CC in the Devastating Charge, but he doesn't have any more crowd control. What he does is he does so much damage that you have to respect him. You need to run away from your team, potentially it's out of a fight, because Hecarim's running at you. So his CC is implied, but once you have the Trinity Force, it's guaranteed.
Yeah, there's a flash body slam, though. MLXG is forced to flash away, uses the locket, but it's not going to be enough. Sky, super tanky, but when he's on his own, there's no damage on the team. Whoosh is going to have to try and deal with Long one more time. Sky gets a decent knock up there. Still alive somehow. Xiaohu kills hard there in the backside. Sky's going to die as well as the culling going to come through now. Long very low on health. Xiaohu is going to use the Zhonya's Punished as well. Both of the Golden Boys are going to get out of this fight as the ward over the wall notices the fact that there is in fact a Nazir over the wall. Sketch using that lifesteal in order to keep himself back up on health, but wants to kill structures.
It was really nice team fighting for RNG. It needed to be. There was the super minions pushing in the bottom lane if they lost a fight, but it ended up being very, very even. 2 for 2 was the overall trade. I think it was mostly the terrain. They had excellent options to jump over walls, and then the wonderful Azir Sec play coming through from the Azir just to kill Heart in the backline. Emperor's Divide so much more useful when you're talking about impassable terrain in more narrow areas. And RNG, they're trying to power down Baron. This is their best way to get back into the game, but there's no smite there yet.
Yeah, Void Rush is available here. MLXG is going to make his way in. He burrows under there. Lei trying to deal with Long as MLXG over the side of the wall. Going to hop onto the Chinese stream now as well. The Baron did actually fall down. RNG picked it up as well, and UPS didn't look to be able to get anything for it. They tried to push down the base, of course, the super minions in the bot lane, but RNG finding their way back into this series. 3,000 gold, though, is only the advantage for UP. There is nothing in this game.
And even with the minions that you have to answer, so you might say, okay, they probably won't be able to break the bases, what we expect at 44 minutes for a Baron to be granting you. They're 4-2 up in Dragons. They're able to push out their lanes. It's one of those situations where if you take the Baron as RNG, it's something that UP can't pick up to equalize their very poor sieging comp. Baron with this threat of dive from UP should have been enough to finish the game, but suddenly RNG, in a game that looked lost for them, have a real chance. Diving onto this Azir with now the Zhonya's being completed and soon a Void Staff. Xiaohu's one item away from being just completely unmanageable in a fight.
Yeah, and Punished came down. I think he may have hit Sky with an ability, not sure.
5th Dragon spawns in 1 minute 40. We said at the start of this game, only way for RNG to win a fight is fighting on their terms, i.e. people diving onto multiple sands that has been set down by Azir, and Azir having a near full build. Threat of a 5th Dragon and all these items on Azir tells you that this next fight will happen in 1 minute 30.
Yes, it most certainly will. Of course, that is the huge thing that RNG can hope for. And of course, they are allowed to over the next sort of 12 minutes. Every time a dragon comes up, they threaten the 5th. And even if UP manage to get the next one, it's only the 4th. And it means that the one after that going to be super massive for both of these teams.
The threat exists every 6 minutes. That's the unique thing of picking up 4 dragons. Okay, the 4th dragon itself, the statistics aren't always that relevant, but the threat of the 5th, that's what looms over this UP team. With how the minion waves are, they haven't really been able to get any vision around this dragon though, so 50 seconds, it's quite a late time to be recalling. Usually you want to be shopped and ready to go at a dragon 30 seconds before, sorry, a minute before to set up more advanced warding. The defensive wards are okay for RNG, but they just haven't been able to get too many wards around the pit, because forcing this with this Baron, this is the time to win a team fight.
Yeah, Void Rush was used by MLXG, making his way towards the mid lane, and 26 seconds on the Dragon means that they are now wanting to set up positioning. You can see UP with all of the vision already. Pings are going down. You saw before, Observer mousing over the fact that there are double engage items here for Lei. He wants to be able to get in there, get amongst it, or get back to his teammates in order to start something up. Oh, Heart might be caught out here just a little bit. They're not going to use too many cooldowns just to make sure that they will be able to fight when the team fight actually erupts.
Dragon spawns now.
Yeah, Tidal Wave down as well as Amy's going to get headbutted back. Lei taking a lot of damage, but Unbreakable will. That's what this cow really wants to be dealing with. And it doesn't really matter what health he's on because he'll still be taking next to nothing.
RNG need to be decisive. They're going to lose their inhibitor if they don't fight right now.
Yeah, they are fighting right now as well. Amy loses half of his health. Sketch making his way in as well. Lei very, very low. Long into the backline. The Culling's there as Whoosh tries to survive this one. Onslaught of Shadows, though, locks down the kill. And look at these fights. UP getting torn apart by this. As Xiaohu going to use that Zhonya's Hourglass, but punished. He's going to get destroyed as well. Amy, you cannot fight toe-to-toe with this Sandy man, as Heart is going to get knocked up into the air. Sky just being frustrating. The bubble is going to work out here for Xiaohu, but a triple kill. That is only one left alive. It's Long. He's going for the backdoor play as the minions are streaming into this base. He's taken down the turret here in the Nexus. The top lane's going to die as well as Lei and Sky looking to try and deal with Long. There's a decimating smash. They want to complete the ace now as Xiaohu. He's making his way around, but he has to deal with the minions. The decimating smash is going to slow him down. Headbutt back into the team. Xiaohu has to be careful, but he does have the shield and he is going to survive. Sky picks up the kill, and that is an ace. But what can RNG do with it?
Yeah, at what cost is the big question. They haven't picked up the 5th dragon, so they didn't get that crucial buff. Can they even get in a position to go take it down with minions streaming into their base? Probably, given the timers, but it's not going to be the fastest dragon. There's always the potential that the Hecarim won't get there, but the Civic can always use the On the Hunt to get there fast. Watch the replay. Now, when you see this fight engage, Lucian dies right at the start, so it looks like a completely lost fight for RNG. It's smart positioning from Xiaohu. He wants to fight with his Sand Soldiers over the side, so Lung comes in and is going to threaten the backline, and they get an excellent wombo engage onto Whoosh. Whoosh here, CC, devastating charge back, dies instantly. this is already dead. So you think, okay, there's no threats left. But Zhao, who lives, has the Zhonyas that he'll use soon. But he lives, the bouncy castle coming through from the Emperor's Defy. But those Sandstorms are ripping through the enemy team. This is completely a team fight fought on the terms of Azir, even able to pick up hard at the end with just a single auto. It takes a while because the bubble annoys Azir, but each of those autos doing so much damage. Full build coming through, but the question is, in all of that time, lost their bottom inhibitor, now lost their top turret, lost their last Nexus turret, and it's time to go for the all-in.
Yeah, UP, they were thinking about just making their way around this one. The inhibitor is going to be respawning very, very soon.
That is a big cow.
Yeah, the 5th Dragon did come through in amongst all of that replay action that was going on there, ladies and gentlemen. RNG picked that one up. That is the fattest cow ever. You're exactly right.
Even in terms of items, like although he still only has a Glacial Shard and a Kindle Gem to rat out his items.
Damn.
He is huge.
Yep. And that skin as well just really makes him look even more menacing.
If only there were enemy skill shots that he could absolve, because to be honest, there's not really that many coming through from UP.
No. They're just, it's a horse. The horse is almost a skill shot himself. Not going to be able to block much with that. Zhao, the flaming pigeon, heading towards the mid lane. MLXG making his way up here as well as Long split pushing once more in the bottom lane. RNG know that they have to be able to deal with him, and they can't get anything done.
No, I don't think they can. They can't do what they're doing, because remember, at best, they're going to overextend for a fight that doesn't really help their weakness. They want the enemy team to be engaging on them to get the most out of Azir and Lucian. When they're kind of overextended and exposed with multiple things working against them, i.e. the minions in this case, the super minions in the bottom wave, the split push pressure of Lung, who's split pushing noticeably without teleport, just going for a split push to give another dimension to UP's play. RNG don't have a lot of good decisions. They kind of have to stay anchored in their base, wait for everything to spawn, start sweeping out wards, because there's always the backline threat and the backdoor threat coming through from the Trinity Force Hecarim. So many things to consider. It means things like Baron basically free to UP unless they make a cataclysmic mistake.
Yeah, and the teleport advantage is in favor of RNG, so Sky can stay in the bottom lane.
Only for another 45 seconds, though.
Yes. So maybe they have a moment here, but UP, they're going to start off the Baron. MLXG going to use the Void Rush to get towards it. The rest of the members are coming around. Is MLXG going to flash forward? Oh, doesn't get the knock-up. Thinking about just starting back up on that Baron, as Sky's taking no damage from Long. Surely that inhibitor did fall down yet again. Xiaohu and Woosh with so much consistent damage. They're tearing this Baron apart. It's most definitely going to die very soon. No steal to come through, as Lei is going to pop the Talisman of Ascension. Punish now maybe caught out just a little bit, but the rest of the team of RNG just moving back towards their base. Might have to play damage control until they have every inhibitor available.
They have Baron and 5th Dragon. The 5th Dragon buff is going to wear off soon, but that was actually a big mistake from UP. Why would you start Baron when he didn't have the teleport from Lung? Then they had to just watch as the Baron instantly died to the Azir and Lucian damage. They could have just gone for the control play, swept around, feigned aggression, but not really committed to anything, and then just waited out the 40 seconds for the teleport to come back from Lung. But they end up just giving away a free Baron. Next 5th Dragon stack will come through. All these neutrals really helping RNG, because that's a 2 damage comp. Remember, the 2 threats are only Azir and Lucian.
You say only.
That's the whole point. It's kind of a misnomer, right? Because Azir is monstrously strong, has those Sandstorms working for him, and honestly, providing the damage threat that the rest of the kits in his team can't provide.
Yeah, Xiaohu actually foregoing any sort of magic penetration apart from that Abyssal Scepter. He's got the Mercury's Treads with the Home Guard enchant as well.
Get that Hecarim off me and I will kill everyone else, is what he's trying to do.
Yeah, that's what he's trying to say, and he's saying it loud and clear here. It's the biggest Scion in the universe, with so many auras around him as well here in the bottom lane. Dragon up in another minute and a half as Xiaohu's going to clear out some minion waves. Baron buff there as well. All the inhibitors now available as the top lane is pushing now in favor of RNG. They may have an opportunity to get something done, as Sky, of course, didn't use his teleport before. Teleport's available for both sides, though, so no advantages really, as Lei actually pops both of his movement speed abilities. Heading towards Sketch. They're trying to catch up to him. Headbutted back. Sketch is going to die. This might even mean the end of the game as RNG take away half of the damage available to UP. especially in the physical damage form. Of course, Long still doing some damage, so maybe that's an overstatement there, but the inhibitor's going to fall down as well. RNG realizing that they can push forward. Sky can tank everything for years and years and years. Bubble not going to find anyone. Headbutt onto the horse to try and get him out of the way. They want to take down possibly more structures here.
Waiting for the next minion wave. I think they don't want a turret dive too hard. You think they'd be happy to, as Sky even has a Guardian Angel as well, but they're finding it hard to get their short-range damage threat, specifically Whoosh, to actually do damage this turret.
Yeah, they're stacking up these Siege minions as well as Amy looking for the fight. Decimating Smash onto Long there as well as MLXG is in trying to save Whoosh, but they're not going to be able to. He's going to die. The exhaust secures the kill onto Xiaohu as well as Punish locks that one down. It's only the tanks available from RNG. Sketch still dead on this side, but UP have lost no one. They're going to clean this fight up with all of their damage. MLXG tries to get out, but Punish locks the kill down. It's a double now for the Cassidy, who flashes onto Sky. He's going to be alive one more time, and then one more time after that, but that is going to be the end of the game for RNG.
They're not going to kill Sky, but they're going to kill the Nexus. You can see why finally RNG don't get a fight on their terms. It was too greedy play, Atlas. They could have just forced a fight around the 5th Dragon where they could have really set things up for themselves. What an awkward time for a pause. But Atlas, fighting around the 5th Dragon, you know UP have to fight. Suddenly they group up for the Azir damage. We've already seen multiple times that the Azir was happy to sit over the Cove as Sky picks up a kill. I told you, you cannot kill this man, but he's finally out of mana and still has Flash.
Yeah, flashed out of the way there.
The timers aren't going to be irrelevant, but big mistake from RNG. That's the lack of a veteran shot caller. Fight around the impassable terrain where Azir can just mow people down with 800, 900 AP. Instead, they're out in the open. Whoosh gets dived upon by the Hecarim and dies, but crucially, on the other side of the fight, the Azir just gets soloed out by Punished on the Cassidy. Those sort of positioning errors cannot happen. Just a big mistake.
Yeah, it was a big mistake, and now they have one more game to play as well, and that was a marathon game, 56 minutes long, almost an hour long.
How devastating to play back from what was a huge deficit, finally get the Baron, finally get the 5th Dragon, have the game in the palm of your hand, 5v4 lose a team fight and now lose the game. You can't see there being another 50-plus minute game because your hearts must really be falling if you're RNG.
Yeah, it's true. And when you win a game after that as well, you're feeling very, very strong. So, of course, the momentum going to be so far in favor of UP moving into the next game. It's going to be a massive test for RNG to see whether they can weather the storm of what is sort of a horrible emotional state and just wipe it off and say, yes, we're going to head into the next game with our heads held high. And speaking of which, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have Game 2 coming up very shortly. But before that, a short break.